Several years ago in Vinayaga Chaturthi, Gurudeva came, and when the puja time came and it was time for the bhajan, Gurudeva surprised everyone and he said, "We're going outside." And he had a little Ganesha Murti and he took it outside, took all the devotees with him, and he put it down on the ground and he said, "This is underneath Ganesha, this is where Ganesha is going to sit." And then Gurudeva did the puja. And he did the incense, and he did an abhishekam, and he did the arti, and then he prostrated right in the brambles, in the bush, in the raw ground, and did the first puja. And then we put a nail, a big spike, where that Ganesha was, and we called the surveyors, and we fixed the spot. So now that is exactly where the Mulasthanam is, and where Ganesha sits in the Mulasthanam. So that was Gurudeva fixing the location of Ganesha. This shrine was inspired by Sivanyanam, and the Siva Nataraj came from the San Francisco temple, and Gurudeva gifted the Nataraj to the community here, and then Sivanyanam was inspired to create the shrine to Gurudeva. Sivanyanam also was the one who was the impetus for the temple after Gurudeva had given the Ganesha Murti. We were worshipping the Ganesha Murti in different locations, moving around from devotees home to home. And then on Vinayaga Chaturthi, in 1981, Sivanyanam stood up and said, "It's time to build the temple." And he got the first, received the first donation from Gurudeva's hand. And Gurudeva was sitting with Sivanyanam on the top floor of a restaurant in a hotel, and Gurudeva looked in this direction and said, "You're going to find about 5 acres for the temple site, and we'll have a creek running through it." And this site is just over 5 acres, and it has the Blackmud Creek running through it. So we feel that Gurudeva saw the whole thing. Sivanyanam, who really was very helpful in bringing that. Back to the beginning of the story of how Gurudeva established the location of the Mulasthanam and sited the temple. It was in the afternoon on Vinayaga Chaturthi. Gurudeva arrived, and it was the first time he'd stepped foot on the land. It had been recently acquired, and there were devotees waiting for Gurudeva in the temporary temple that we had, the residence on the property, and Gurudeva surprised everyone. He didn't go into the building. Instead, devotees had given him flowers, and he walked around the outside of the temporary temple, and he was very quiet and inner, and then he headed off just into the woods, into the bush, and he was moving from side to side, and then stopped and put the flowers down. And that night, when he came to establish Ganesha, he brought everyone to that site. And I had at home a scale map of the temple site with development setback and parking space and all of the requirements of the city. And I had a scaled building that we had decided to build that Ganapati Temple had drawn. And I did the measurements from where Gurudeva had set the Ganesha down and done the puja, and I converted that and found the spot, and then when I brought the building over, it just fit like a glove, exactly where it should be, right within the development setback. Gurudeva's blessings, Ganapati Temple designed the temple itself, the structure. So he came in 1986 and started at the point where Gurudeva had set the Ganesha down, and then he did all of the calculations, cleared everything away, and Stapati set the outside of the building. And then he told us to plant wheat. So we cleared everything away, and then we sowed, in the spring we sowed a crop of wheat, and it grew through the summer, and we harvested in the fall, and we brought a cow, and a cow stayed on the land for about a week, So all of these steps that Stapati told us to do to establish the temple were all done for this location. Here we have a 10-day festival, and the whole community comes out. The pujas begin at 6 p.m. with a homa, and every night for 10 days in a row we have long 5-hour pujas and ceremonies that go till 11 at night. Here in the middle of the summer it's still light out at 11, and the whole community is just intoxicated with the worship of Lord Ganesha. Lots of bhakti and devotion here.